We are here today with the one I like to call, a friend of mine, I like to call the global citizen, but I will adjust that for saying the European citizen.
Better, yeah.
And we'll discover why we say that in a while, but first of all, what's your name? How old are you? Where are you from?
My name is Nick, or Nico. I'm French, and I grew up in Holland. I'm 37 years old.
Good. So you are from the Netherlands,
Yeah.
and maybe it's also why one of the reasons why we are recording this video, because my channel is about the Netherlands.
Yeah.
But you also moved a lot, so we'll try to build up again your not your history but your movings in Europe, and maybe you can sum up where you lived.
Yeah. So I'm not from the Netherlands. I grew up there. But I was born in Corsica, in Ajaccio, in 1986, and then 2 years later my parents moved to the Netherlands, the Hague, and I lived there until I was 18 when I went to university, to Utrecht. I was there for a little while, then I went to Salamanca for 1 year, then to Scotland, St. Andrews, and after 3 years I went on Erasmus at Padova in Italy for 1 year, back to Scotland, and then I went to Granada for a year, and then to Alicante. So that was 2012, and then Alicante in 2013, and I'm still here 10 years later. So.
Yeah, let's say you're a globetrotter, and I want to say, so let's focus one by one all the destination you have been or you lived in. So we'll start with the Netherlands, because maybe about France we'll say something about the culture, because I think you never lived in France.
Yeah,
really.
as a
you
baby,
were so baby.
Yeah.
You were such a baby. So we do the Netherlands, Scotland, Italy, Spain, because Spain is the last destination, and I think I didn't miss any. And maybe something about maybe how the French culture is also taking any part in your life. So let's start with the Netherlands. So how was growing up in the Netherlands? What you can say also, because you were from another country, even if you were almost born there.
Yeah. So my growing up in the Netherlands was the life of an expat, which The Hague is full of expats, so it's a very multicultural city. But this is the main thing, I think, that well, not the main thing. There are a lot of great things about growing up in Holland. You feel very safe. The sports, the schools, the activities, everything, I think, for a family life is very prepared. But as an expat, maybe the negative side or the tougher side is to feel like you're integrating into the Dutch society.
Do you speak Dutch?
Yes, but this is one thing about Holland that's very interesting. Dutch people speak such good English that as soon as they hear you're not Dutch, they will reply to you in English. And I think it was less even the case. Now it's probably even more, because people are improving their English all the time. But so if you don't go to a Dutch school, which was my case, I went to British schools, your level of Dutch is very hard to improve. I went to a Dutch football club, so there little by little you learn. I had Dutch friends, but on the streets, as a kid you don't really talk. You play marbles, you play football. So I lived there 18 years. I'm the eldest of 6 children. I forgot to say that. My little brother and sisters were born after me, but they
big family.
Generally, I think they would all agree, hopefully, if they see this story, that they don't speak as good Dutch as I do, and I don't speak very good Dutch.
Okay.
So we all grew up there, but it seems to be the case that as an expat, if you grow up there and you're not going to a Dutch school, you won't have a perfect level of Dutch.
Okay. Yeah. And so you decided to move out of the Netherlands. So let's try to follow the history.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to leave? Because in my channel, so for me it's the opposite case. I'm from Italy. I decided to go to the Netherlands to live. I love the Netherlands. But of course, I want to hear different stories. So maybe you can explain. Yeah. Some of the reasons that
there was no strong reason. I would have been happy to live my whole life in the Netherlands. I think it's a great country to live in. It was purely education. Let's say I was looking to study Spanish at that time to improve my Spanish, and it's true that when I went to Salamanca for my first year, it's one of the best years of my life. I discovered the Spanish culture, the Spanish fiesta, I have to say, but also just a general approach on life, I think, and the food, and it's a beautiful city, Salamanca. I don't know if you've been, but there's a cathedral there. Yeah. So it was so different to Holland, and for me it was, as I say, it was a revelation that Holland is great, but there are lots of great places in the world. And
may I ask you something? So you said you left because of quality of life and so on. So when I think about the Netherlands, for me, quality of life is also work-life balance, and I believe Spain and Italy are quite similar. They're not as good as the Netherlands from that point of view, but maybe it's I don't know, maybe not just your experience, but what you feel like is here the life. Do you think people work a lot? Do you think people can enjoy life?
I mean, I feel there's both. I feel there's for our generation and even the younger generation, it's a tough situation getting into the job market in these countries that you say, Italy, Spain. I think the barrier to get in and the conditions that you're offered at the beginning are not great. You have to work hard. You have to find your space, and the great majority of people, it's a struggle, I think. But life is also not so expensive in Spain.
Yeah.
I mean, here there's a culture where a lot of people live with their families until they're 30, until they get married.
Like Italy.
Yeah, because also for economic reasons, because it's hard to live on your own. So I don't know.
Yeah, but let's make this let's say more interesting. What is a funny fact about Spain that an expat can say? Anything funny you see about Spain, if anything? If nothing, we can just
I don't know if it's funny, but it definitely shocks people when they come here, like the time schedule that some they will see kids outside on the street at 1 a.m. still, after their parents are still having a few drinks after having their dinner, and the kids are still. Whereas in Holland, where I grew up, I was talking to a Dutch mom yesterday. She puts her kid to bed at 7 p.m. He has dinner at 6 p.m. And so it's also due to light, to the climate here. It's very warm in the summer. You can only be outside later in the day. So there are lots of reasons for everything. But
and from Spain, then you decided to move from Salamanca to Scotland.
Yeah.
Again, back to the north of Europe.
Yeah, but this was purely for education reasons. St. Andrews is a very good university, and when I received this offer from them, I thought it was I couldn't turn it down. I would regret it if I turned it down. And in the end, I think the rest of my life was based on this decision, meeting my wife and coming here. So I'm happy.
And was it easy with the Scottish accent?
I mean, I was very familiar with it because I had good Scottish friends at school, in my British school. But what wasn't easy was the weather. It's very cold up there. You have to be inside a lot. And after being 1 year in Salamanca, where it's not so warm either, it's also cold in winter, but it was different. But it's also beautiful, very green. I learned golf over there. It's it's where golf was born. And for playing football, I like football. Well, it was great green fields. A lot of sports cultures. It was.
And you also lived in the best country in the world.
Yeah.
So in Italy, even if only for a year.
Yeah.
And there is where we meet up. So
Yeah.
that is great. But what about Italy? So if you had to place Italy between all the countries you lived in, where would you place it?
I mean, when I went to Italy, in my head, it was to test it as a potential country to live there. I wanted to either live in Spain or Italy. I was quite clear with these two choices by that point, and I still would perfectly be happy to live in Italy. I think the whole point of these two countries, I think, is if you manage to find a job, because the hard thing is finding a job. If you manage to find a good job, then they are great countries. The hard thing is finding the good job, and Italy was the best year of my life, actually. Salamanca was almost as good, but there I met my wife. So. No, and okay, it was Erasmus, so you don't really experience a country or a city in the same way when you're on Erasmus. But the same that I said about Spain: the food, the party, the drinks, the people,
the weather,
yeah.
And then so after Italy, you moved to Spain, where you stayed, I would say, till now, and you decided to live in Alicante.
Yeah.
And my question is, why did you decide to move and have a family in Spain and not in other countries? It is a purely decision based on the fact that, I don't know, working opportunities also for your wife, or is it more like you already decided Spain was a potential good destination, as you said, including Italy?
Yeah, this was prior to having a family. It was as a young, we weren't even married, a young couple. My wife is Spanish, she's from here. And for me, as I said previously, Spain and Italy were my two options. In my head, it was Barcelona. At the time, I really liked the idea of this city, cosmopolitan, a lot of of different cultures and very easy, good airport, good everything. But now when I look back at it, I'm happy I didn't go there because I think it's too big. I like a slightly smaller city where I feel I don't waste so much time moving around in transport left and right. And so Alicante came up as well, first we were in Granada for 1 year with a bad job for me. Laura was finishing her studies, my wife, and then she could choose anywhere in Spain with her job.
Oh.
So Alicante was kind of for me. I knew there was a good work opportunity here, maybe, and in the end, we're really happy with the choice because for a family here, it's a brilliant city.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think I'm very good with the question I asked. So now I'm ready to, let's say, give you a tennis lesson.
Okay, thank you.
And then maybe I'll ask you some questions and maybe you will show also your language capabilities, which I think is also good. Maybe some jokes about all the countries you lived in.
Okay.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Look, I didn't win. Actually, I have to be honest. And he didn't lose. It was even. But now we are gonna complete this interview.
Even.
First of all, I must say he lives in a wonderful house. But secondly, he said he speaks so many languages, but we didn't hear anything about the languages. So I'm gonna ask to say I kicked your ass in tennis in all the languages you know.
How rude do you want it to be?
Enough rude.
Okay. We start in Italian, which you taught me this one because in football I did it to you many times. Ti ho fatto il culo così.
It's good. I can confirm.
In Spanish te he reventado.
No suena tan duro, tan
No.
extremo.
No sé si hay peor. En francés, te défoncé.
What does it mean?
Défoncé ta race. It means I fucked your race. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. In Dutch, ik heb je afgemaakt. I don't know. Ik heb je.
You still have a good
Ik
Dutch?
heb je vol. I don't know. In Deutsch, ich had dir voll auf die Nase geklappt, hè?
I like also the way you say with expressing.
Yeah, but I made this up. I don't think it's very good, but my German friends will laugh. And I don't know what language am I missing.
I think you said them all. But good, ready to eat, ready to go for paella, and it was good kicking your ass.
Thank you.
Cuidado que lleva y quema, ¿eh?
Gracias.
Esto por aquí, ahora se hace con unos platitos.